is the Six of Swords, needing to move away from conflict. The Six of Swords to me is about a change of scenery, needing to get away from the things that are just too much for you. It's like you still have a little bit of baggage that you're carrying, but here it's saying that you're moving away from any conflicting situations, people, anything that may be holding you back. It's a change of scenery and, of course, smooth sailing ahead. So clearly here you're wanting to get away from some conflict in your life. You are coming in with the Tower. Well, it's no wonder why the Six of Swords is there. The big question here with the Tower is, are you causing this collapse, or, is this something that is happening to you right now? The Tower is about having built on a false foundation, but the beauty there is that you get to rebuild something better for yourself. But I love it in this deck because it poses the question on, are you responsible for this? I mean, it's like, did you realize that the things that were going on in your life just weren't quite right? And clearly realizing that you need a change, especially with the Six of Swords sitting there. Now, what is crossing you? The Chariot. Wow. Self-control. Needing to get some self-control, especially with what you're pulling in the Oracle cards. The Chariot is momentum forward. It's fast momentum, but, it's needing to get control. And, here with this deck, it's like, which way do you go? Which way are you going? What path is it that you're going to take? And whichever way you choose to go, you need to make sure that, again, you use your willpower and self-control to stay on this path. Pick a path and go with it. But there's this momentum forward. And again, there's movement. With the Six of Swords and the Chariot, there's movement forward. And there's some change. There's some major changes with the Tower happening in your life. But again, it's rebuilding something better, and it's like movement to somewhere where you can do that for yourself. Now, the conscious mind, now. The Two of Cups. You are focused on achieving an emotionally fulfilling relationship. The Two of Cups is the bonding between two people. Emotional bonding. So immediately for me that says relationship. I don't think that there's a relationship that's like crashing down or anything like that. I just feel like maybe there needs to be some changes in your life and maybe a change of scenery to, really attain what your conscious mind is focused on attaining, which is a bonding relationship. Wow, Virgo. Now, in the subconscious mind, the Four of Wands, you're celebrating it. You're celebrating the changes that are happening in your life. Again, that's what I love about the Tower in this deck. It's like, it feels like you knew that there were things that needed to change, whether it was, people and situations in your life that were conflicting, old habits, old thoughts, old beliefs, all those things, it's like you realize that they need to come crashing down. And you're like moving forward. You're moving forward in the rebuilding of your life and the things that are important to you. And what's important in your conscious mind is a bonding relationship. Your subconscious mind is celebrating the fact that you are making these changes in your life. I like the Four of Wands because, really for me, when I look at it, I see, the celebration of the work that's being done. You realize that there's still more to do here. You've just, started. But this is a moment to really celebrate the work you're doing. And I love seeing that in the subconscious mind because it's saying, hey, we need to go out, we need to have fun, we need to celebrate the changes that we are making in our life, because it's almost like you're seeing this as a positive change for yourself. The Chariot, control. You have control over the situation that's happening with the Tower. And again, there's movement. There's movement here. The past coming through, the High Priestess. Wow, Virgo, wow. I like it because it reminds me of when you guys were pulling Supernatural from Lay Vampire. Here you are tapping into your intuition. The High Priestess also has to do with unknown knowledge being made known, secrets coming to light. The answers that you don't know right now that you are seeking will be made known to you. You may, have to put in some work here to get these answers, but what you're seeking will be made known. But more importantly, when it comes to, the changes that you're making in your life, you're really tapping into your intuitive nature, which I love for Virgo. The High Priestess too is like, it's connected with the twos. It's the decisions, right? The Two of Cups, decisions in relationships, the possibilities. It's where all the possibilities lie before manifestation. And again, the unknown, trusting in the unknown, trusting in your intuition to guide you through this. Now, your next move, Seven of Swords. This to me is saying that you need to protect the things that are important to you. You need to protect and not let anyone take from you what is of importance to you. I don't see this as, anybody taking anything from you. It's just that you need to protect what you have. There's almost a feeling here of having to leave something behind, especially with the Six of Swords and then seeing the Tower and the Chariot. That movement forward, there may have been some things that you had to leave behind. And with the Tower, I'd like to think that it's leaving behind the things that are conflicting to you. And here you're protecting the things that are truly important to you, which to me is what the Seven of Swords is about, especially with the position that it's in, being your next move. It's about protecting yourself. The way that you see yourself and the way that others view you, and I think that's perfect. There's recognition here by others for the work that you've done. The 6 and the 4 is that celebration. But, here there's victory. There's this feeling of victory. And you're being recognized for the work that you've done and being applauded. I like it. I like that this is what's showing up for you because, again, it goes back to the Tower and you realizing that there were changes that need to be made in your life. But still, there's this relationship in the conscious mind. I'm looking at that going, you're doing all this beautiful work for yourself. You're moving away from conflict. You're getting control over the situation with the Tower, which I almost feel like you're responsible for. You're responsible for the major changes that are happening in your life because you knew that there are things that are limiting you, whether they're people, situations, old thoughts and beliefs, what have you. You are putting in the work to change that, and you're celebrating it, and you're being recognized. And you're really tapping into your intuition to guide you through this. And you're protecting yourself. But does it have to do with changes involving a relationship? With it being in the position that it's in, to me it's like making changes involving wanting to have a bonding experience. Like that's what the conscious mind is focused on attaining for the month of April. But it's like you realize that there are internal changes that need to happen first. And it could also show that you have support. Especially with seeing the Four of Wands there, there's this celebration with the relationship, right? Like you may have somebody supporting you through the changes that you are making for yourself in your environment. And yeah, you're busting your ass. Clearly you are. Again, work. You're putting in some work here. I like seeing the Eight of Pentacles in your environment because, again, to me, this is you putting in the work that's needed here. You understand that there's some hard work here when it comes to making these major changes in your life. And you're not sitting on your ass. You're doing something about it, which I love. I love seeing that. And the Eight of Pentacles being in your environment can have to do with your work situation as well. But, I like seeing that there in terms of you doing the work that's needed to rebuild something better for yourself. You're doing some really major work here. It's not, this isn't, the mundane everyday shit. You guys are making some major changes in your life. Major changes. In the relationship, though, I really feel like, I feel like it's support, especially seeing the 6 and the 4, but there could be changes going on as far as, the way that you view relationships or the way that your relationship is going. But I mean, either way, you're putting in the hard work, you're celebrating it, you're being recognized for it, you're getting control. I love it. And you're protecting yourself. So it's almost like looking at it, I feel like if you are wanting to achieve, if you're wanting to achieve a meaningful relationship, burnt by the sun and balance is saying that maybe, you understand now that you are going about it the wrong way and that you really needed to make some major changes on a much deeper level here, before you go after it again, which burnt by the sun and balance is saying again, not to get deceived by your own desires. And I really feel like you understand that. And through the month of April, you're going to make the changes that you need to on a very major level here. But clearly, that 2 of Cups, right? Wanting to have that bonding experience. Your hopes and your fears, the Emperor. Wow, Virgo. This could have to do with an Aries. But the Emperor, to me, is seeing that in your hopes and your fears is about getting your shit together. Getting control of the situation. And again, it goes back to you being responsible for the changes that are happening. Getting control of the situation. Getting your shit together. Order, power, structure, and control. And again, with the Chariot, willpower and self-control. I mean, look at it, And tapping into your intuitive nature to guide you through the changes that you're making. It's amazing. It's amazing. I don't really see a fear with the Emperor at all. You are really going to get your shit together here and make some major changes so that you can manifest the things that you want. And what you want is a bonding experience. And the outcome, the 8 of Swords, this to me is a warning. It's a warning. We're going to pull some clarifiers on this for sure, but the 8 of Swords is that inability to move forward because there is a fear of the unknown. The High Priestess coming through from the past is saying that you need to trust in your intuition and definitely not fear the unknown. I always say the same thing when I see the 8 of Swords pop up, especially when it comes in this position. I would rather be dealing with new pain than dealing with the same shit over and over and over again, because you have an opportunity here to move away from the things that may have held you back before, and looking at it, there may be fear involving that relationship. The 9 of Cups and the 3 of Swords. Well, now, the 9 of Cups and the 3 of Swords, again, there's a warning there. Seeing that with the 8 of Swords, to me, it's saying that, if you don't really get control over the situation and really start to look at what wish fulfillment looks like to you, you're going to be left heartbroken and stuck in the same situations over and over and over again. I really feel like this reading is saying to you that, there's a need here to look at the way that you behave in relationships. And it's like that. Because you understand that there are some major changes that need to be made. I don't feel like, you going after, this bonding experience is going to cause heartbreak or leave you in this situation where you feel stuck. I feel like, the 6 of Swords being the overall energy is saying that, you understand that you need to get away from these conflicting thoughts. Because again, the Swords, it's mental. It's all the mental shit that we do to ourselves. And I feel like, especially looking at Burnt by the Sun and then seeing, balance, to me, it's almost like, again, there's this feeling of working towards something but not quite achieving it. But, Burnt by the Sun is saying that you have to take it one step at a time, right? Baby steps first. What are you truly desiring from that 2 of Cups? What is it that you desire? What is it that you're hoping to see? That is where the 9 of Cups comes in. You cannot fear the path ahead. If you do that, you're going to be left heartbroken because you didn't really take the time to sit and meditate on what wish fulfillment looks like to you, right? the High Priestess as a past coming through is telling you that you really need to tap into your intuition. And again, you cannot fear the unknown. And you cannot fear your path ahead or moving forward into the future. Because fear creates more fear, which is where the Three of Swords is coming in. You're hoping with the Emperor to get control of this shit. And if you feel like with Burnt by the Sun and the Eight of Pentacles, like you're doing this work, but you're just not seeing the results, you have to understand that you have to continue that. It's the same thing with the Four of Wands and the Six of Wands. There is still more work to be done. It's one of those things where you can't expect the tower to come crashing down and then boom, be rebuilt like that, the way that you want it. It's going to take some time. Right? It's like you're wanting it to happen now, but the Chariot is saying that you need to get some control here before you start pushing forward. You can't just expect things to happen like right now, right? Balance in a relationship, balance with your thoughts regarding that. It's like that's what you're wanting to achieve, but there are some changes that need to be made on a much deeper level here before you can actually achieve that in your life. Mystery. I love mystery. Seeing that with the High Priestess is beautiful. It is beautiful. This is about really tapping into the mystery of the universe. I love it. Again, it's about following your intuition, your intuitive guidance. Be open to the mystery of the unknown. And again, with the Eight of Swords, and I mean all three of them, it's like you cannot fear the future. You cannot fear the unknown, and you need to trust your intuition. Magic. Beautiful, beautiful. There's mystery and there's magic in life. And that is what you need to be focused on rather than things not happening the way that you're expecting them to with all the work that you're putting in here. You need to acknowledge the magic that is in your life and really appreciate the magical moments, right? And this also supports manifestation. It's one thing when you're constantly busting your ass to manifest the things that you want, but when you're really sitting back and you're visualizing what it is you truly want, and you're trusting in the mystery of the universe and seeing the magic in life, prosperity will come to you. I like it, Virgo. I worry about the outcome, and I feel like, the reason why it's showing up is it's a warning to some of you that, even though you're busting your ass, there's more to just working. You have to really tap into your intuitive nature and pay attention to that when it comes to wish fulfillment and what that looks like to you and what you're really trying to achieve with the emotional bonding that you are focused on. All right, Virgo, so this one bothers me a little bit because, when I see Burnt by the Sun, especially with balance, I feel like you're working so hard towards something that just isn't like manifesting the way that you want it to. It almost feels like you come out saying, you know what, my wishes aren't happening, I'm stuck in the same shit, and then you're left with this feeling of heartbreak. I really feel like, the message to you here is that you really need to think about what wish fulfillment is for you. And if what you're wanting is an emotionally fulfilling relationship, you really got to trust in your intuition. This is the way that I see this, right? Like your subconscious mind is saying, hey, let's celebrate the work that we're doing to do some internal changes because you're doing some major changes here. With the Tower and the Chariot, absolutely. But it's like you're wanting it to happen right now, but it's not happening that way. You're wanting to get away from conflict. You're wanting to protect the things that are important to you. You're putting in the work here, and you're wanting to be recognized for the work that you're doing. And you're hoping that that is going to help you get your shit together, right? You're hoping to have that order and that structure in your life. But it just doesn't happen the way that you want it to, and it's because you really need to trust again in your intuition, but then not only that, the unknown, and not fear the unknown, and pay attention to the magic in life. It's one of those things where it reminds me of people who like truly don't understand the law of attraction or like dismiss it. They're like, man, I'm busting my ass. I'm busting my ass. You know, I want people to see that that's what I'm doing, but then nothing's changing and they're like, fuck it, right? Nothing is happening the way that I wanted it to. This doesn't work. And it's because there's more to it than just work, 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 right? You really need to think about what it looks like to you, right? And pay attention to the magic in life and like really celebrate it. And I feel like once you start tapping into those feelings and really paying attention again to your intuition here, that's when things will start to change. But I feel like, you know, the Eight of Swords and the Three of Swords here is a warning to you about the things that you're wanting to manifest with that wish fulfillment. If you feel like you're just staying stuck in the same situation because you're just not reaching your goals, right, you're going to be left with this feeling of heartbreak because things are not manifesting the way that you're working toward, because you're busting your ass. But there's more to it than that, right? And I feel like, you know, once you start paying attention to the mystery and the magic of the universe and the way that things unfold the way that they do, once you start tapping into your intuition when it comes to visualizing what wish fulfillment looks like, that is when prosperity will come into your life. So, you know, clearly you guys are wanting to make some big changes here. You're wanting it to happen quickly. There is progress forward. It's just that things are not happening in the way that you're expecting them to. And it's like you're wanting the recognition for the work that you're doing, but it's just not quite happening. So for the month of April, if you are working toward, and what I feel like you're working toward is an emotionally fulfilling relationship, you really need to pay attention to the mystery, the magic, the intuition. All of these things will help you to visualize what that wish fulfillment looks like to you. And if it looks like a more fulfilling relationship or emotional bonding with another person, that's what you need to do instead of busting your ass and expecting recognition. There's a little bit more to it than that. And when you start to do those things and you start to really open up to the magic of life, prosperity will come to you.